Hello, welcome to Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DDOstream. I'm Community Manager Kurt Oven, and I'll be with you for the next hour. We're going to run a bunch of Update 63 quests. That's really what's up today, is some gameplay. We have a little bit of news, but we're heading into a long holiday weekend next week and some sales that I can't talk about yet. And we could talk a little bit about hardcore maybe next week. There's a few bits that I need to sort out, but we're really close to announcing a sort of release date for the next hardcore season. Reminder, that'll be a shorter season. That's a redux of season 3, which was our deliberately easy season, well, somewhat easier season, where you could earn up to 3 lives at levels, if I recall, it was like, what, 816? 8 and 16, something like that. And we also had a wider than usual level lockout on Reaper. So it was a fairly generous hardcore season that season. That'll be coming back in December for a 60-day run. We'll have more information about the release date and confirm some of the specifics like favor, threshold rewards, perhaps, things like that in a little bit. But I'm not quite ready to do that work for you today. Yeah, it'll be like a 2-month. It'll be a 60-day season instead of a 90-day season. And my assumption is the favor and Reaper thresholds will be similar to our other shorter seasons. I think we bring it down from usually about 5,000 to about 3,000. Isn't that right? Something like that. I would expect that this time around too. But this is a little bit of an easier season, especially now that we've had a number of hardcores under our belt. Players are going to have a little bit easier time of it. Maybe that's okay, because it's through the holidays, and it'll be a fun time for hardcore. So that's something that you can look forward to getting more information about. Like I say, maybe next week. It's really just the release date at this point, and some of the specifics that are yet to announce, and there we are. What else could I mention here before I head inside of the game? We do have bonus days. Our bonus days runs through the 19th, and that is double Mysterious Remnants. So that's going on really this weekend for our bonus. And what else should I mention? Yesterday, we had our 6th episode of Joy of Deving with Bob Hess. This one went into our first Lamania preview that took place this week. Maybe I'll play some of that video a little bit later, although Bob did play it during the show. We were able to get some video of players on Lamania actually running the content, and that was really cool. And so that's now up on YouTube, and we're working towards really a release of both Update 64, which will be our legendary Chronoscope. That'll be Update 64. And then we're calling the PAX Dungeon Update 65, which will be pretty soon after Update 64 gets released. But because they're different things, you wanted to type it different. So Update 64 will be Chronoscope, and then we got the PAX Dungeon also happening here in December. And then, you know, we're pretty... Well, we are actually set to do yet one more game update prior to the holidays then as well in December. And then we're into January. This came up during the Lord of the Rings stream today, but we might as well mention it here too, which is that, you know, obviously as we get towards the end of the year, people want to know when we're going to have our roadmap letters and things like that. And I can see that we're in the very early stages. Well, I wouldn't say we're in the early stages. We're in the stages of planning out the full year and getting it into a form that will eventually be turned into something like a producer's letter. But I wouldn't expect it anytime too soon. But I would expect it probably something like early 2024. We'll get that released and get you a roadmap as it stands at the time of publication for the year. So, there we go. All right. I have run all of the Update 63 dungeons on stream, except for this one, Horde of the Illithid Controller. And I have to admit, I haven't run it for a little bit of a specific reason. And that is, I suck Maybe I should just end the sentence there. But I suck at the stealth that's involved in this quest. And so maybe with your help on the stream here today, you can help work me through some of the strategies that you're using to resolve, to be able to sneak your way through the dungeon rather than have to just keep fighting all the giants, which they have a lot of hit points. And I went on normal for this quest for stream because I don't want to spend all day having to beat them down. But I could totally run this on a higher difficulty if I could sort that out. So my hope is today, somehow magically it's all going to work itself out. But if that doesn't happen, I'm just basically what I'm saying, it's your fault if I suck today. You haven't told me what I need to do. I'm kidding, of course. But I would love to know what I can do to get through these stealth bits, if you know. But see, the thing is, this character's not a stealth character. But not everyone who runs this quest is going to be a stealth character. So what do you do if you're not a stealth character? Yep.
You need to take out the Illithid controller who is
I can sneak,
the monstrous troops.
but it doesn't really do me any good.
To do that, you'll need to find and open the gate that leads to his headquarters. Beware of the patrolling giants. You may do better avoiding them.
Kill all. Yeah, that's what my stealth strategy has been too, is to just
the mind control has dulled the monster's senses.
Defeat everything. So I appreciate the idea of being able to open doors without breaking stealth, but there is a very deliberate reason that it's done gameplay-wise and what have you inside of this game, and has been the case for a long time. And that is you need to have that ability to kind of reset and do some things. So if you didn't have that, if it really was a certain gear score means you could just stealth your way through an entire dungeon, including all the interactables, and complete the quest without ever having to worry about anything. That might be cool if you're a stealth build, but ultimately, if that sort of path ultimately becomes a gear score, then you have too much prevalence of it, and it's overly disruptive to the general gameplay. Now, you can always do things like try to say, yes, but it takes twice as long. Yes, but does it? You know, etc. But we also kind of have it, apparently, in this quest. Is my audio off from my actual speaking? Gosh, I'm sorry. The answer is probably yes, and it's probably my fault. I tried to adjust it. At the same, I often have the problem. I'm not quite sure what it is. Where while I'm streaming, especially on Twitch here, my audio gets slightly ahead of the video. And you can, well, I can do a test here for post. You'll kind of see where it is compared to my hand clapping. Anyway, so I tried to adjust it out a couple milliseconds before I went live today. And but maybe I overshot it, so now I'm delayed. And if that's the case, I'm sorry. Alright. Well, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? This is the big question. First thing, let's try reading the manual. You can try taking out the psionic amplifier. I'm not sure what will happen. It'll throw a spit. Well, that's ultimately what we're doing. The things you really need to watch out for are the patrolling giants. If they detect you, they will attack. I already know this. Take it slow. Don't set them off. Whatever you do, don't set them off near other troops. Divide and conquer. Okay, well. Okay. I'm not going to say that wasn't helpful. But, like, how am I supposed to get past these people without setting them off? So yeah, I mean, I know, you know, like some general, don't run in front of them. But still, I'm not getting up that staircase. Are you kidding me?
A giant spots one of your party and attacks.
And so it's not like a quest has been particularly difficult. It's just that I feel like every time I'm running it, I'm not really playing it right. And I was wondering, it's like, okay, so let me turn to chat here and see what you've got. The other thing I thought about is I was like, well, maybe it's a breakable thing, kind of like Claw of Valcour, where you could sort of tag baskets and stuff and get them to walk over there. So far, I haven't been able to really make that happen, so I'd love to know. Maybe it's just I'm supposed to do this unless I'm a stealthy character, and that's, I guess, fine too. And, you know, I don't think I'm a heavy armor wearer on this build as well. Thankfully, it is possible to just beat down these giants. It's just that, as you see, it takes a while. It's a thing. So, I was curious, now that it's been out for, what, at least a week? It was a week ago, yesterday, a week ago that this dungeon opened, something like that? What have you been running? What have you been up to? Have you, actually, you know what I'm even also really curious about? I don't have enough, cards yet to be able to, build a deck on the character I've been using on stream here, but I hit the jackpot sometime this past week, and just got a massive card dump in one of the chests, and I wondered if, what your experience has been as well in terms of how many decks have you made, and have you applied it to your current gear? Are you halfway there? Where are you at in terms of the decks? Have you found it useful as well? You know, we've... Not to try to overhype it either, but we've added a kind of new tier of loot benefit that is a possibility now to Dungeons & Dragons Online. And there's nothing really stopping us from, if we want to, if people like it, if we like it, and if we want to do it, right? Just adding more cards and more decks and things into future content. Maybe treat it as another thing of new that we can add to content releases like Filigree and Sentient Gems and all the other bits and bobs, up to and including our named loot and such, that we can add. So the idea, the potential of that's cool, if we want it to be. Now, we've already, you know, talked about how it is in some ways not meant to be a min-max gear system. You know, it's meant to be more minor along the lines of something like that. a filigree, although it's bigger than that. I think, in general. And so I'm curious, have you gotten your stuff fast enough? What do you think? Have you had one of the... So this is the thing, and by the way, when I was running this dungeon, it occurred to me, and I got that dump of cards, I was like, I'm not even live streaming it at happened. Normally I've got the dev hacks on stream, so we'll see if that happens again today. But I went on hard, not normal, and it wasn't this quest, it was one of the other ones. And the end chest had 6 of 3 of the cards, and 2 of the 4th card. So I ended up getting 20 cards for one chest, and I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Have you been doing that? So, yeah. You want the card cleanser? Are you already at the point that you've maxed out all your stuff and need the cleanser? Is that what you're saying? I don't have an answer for you. MS-30, 50, whatever, 50. Why are we calling it the Deck of Many Curses? It's not really a curse. Doesn't it feel like maybe that's a bit of a negative connotation to a benefit system? And I hear you. I don't know why we're calling it the Deck of Many Curses. The curse is ultimately that it is non-transferable. It's not really, at least back when it was... The OG idea is that it would be applied to an item and it would not come off. And that ultimately is the curse there. But, as you state, it is generally not particularly curse-like. So, I hear you. We should have called it something else. But we didn't. The other thing is, though, is we have a lot of names for... You have to come up with a lot of names for things. If you work on Dungeons & Dragons Online. Especially when it comes to, like, what are you going to call a loot system? Especially as you've been out for a while. We have a lot of names for things. And for whatever reason, Deck of Many Curses is what this one ended up being, so... I don't know. Well, that's true too. Originally, in the earliest incarnation of it that was seen on the forums, there were a few detrimental effects, and at different stages of the process, there were perhaps somewhat more detrimental effects in there. But I think we've learned from our own curse systems of years past that it just makes it too binary in terms of people are just like, no, no, you know? And so we've generally don't do penalties to your stuff for the most part. There are a few cases out there, but not in general all that much.
You hear a metal gate clank in the distance. The way to the Illithid controller is now...
It's called Deck of Many Curses because in 6 months it kills all the characters that have one. I love your thinking, by the way. I think that would be really funny. I think that would be really funny if that were true. I would laugh. I would laugh a lot if we were that devious. But I suspect perhaps that would be something that would be more funny, not so much funny haha as funny, I don't know. other words that might be used.
A giant spots one of your party and attacks.
If I mentioned how much I like Bulwark, by the way, the nice thing about Bulwark is Bulwark does have a few DVs, so I'm kind of low on DVs. I forgot to hit a shrine here. Or actually, no, I'm not up to it yet. I went the wrong way. I have some potions if I need it, but I don't think I'm going to need it. It's just going to basically be a melee fight here. But if I want to do some extra with my Divine Punishment, I can get myself some spell points. Oops. Spell points back here. We are planning 2024 at the moment, and as a result, it's a very exciting time inside of the office as the number of possibilities kind of narrows itself into a list of, okay, well, now what are we actually going to do, kind of a thing. And it's a very exciting time to be a part of the game's development, even if we're not going to be able to really necessarily share it with you at this point until said plans are more approved and solid and considered and, you know, put into schedules and what have you. But it's looking pretty hot, and it's looking pretty good. And I can't wait to share more with you, probably sometime in the new year. My guess is that you'll see a lot more of it actually, as is often the case, I think, with our producer-style letters. Some amount of the information that you end up reading in the producer's letter is officially announced in the producer's letter. But you've maybe seen some amount of chatter about it prior to it being announced. And so I think we'll probably be in a position to say more about our schedule in 2024, probably even before we're in a position to formally release our next producer's letter. But in the short term here, if we want to look to the immediate, we've got our bonuses and Update 63 this weekend. Next week we have our Black Friday sales, and those are going to be pretty hot. They'll be, anyone who's followed our Black Friday sales know there's something to pay attention to if that's something you're interested in, perhaps spending a little bit of cash on our game. And then really quickly after that, we're at the end of November and into early December, and it'll be Legendary Chronoscope for the first release, and then for right on the heels of that, still in December sometime is the plan, release Update 65, which will be Catastrophe, the PAX East dungeon. One of those two updates, I think probably more likely 64, but we'll see, is going to include new Festival cookies for our updated Festival list. Festival will kick off in December. And then that'll carry us through the holiday. We'll have our big holiday sales as we usually do. And in January, we'll have Snow Peaks at some point, probably starting late January. It's usually a few weeks, it's usually a week or two after Festival ends, and Festival usually ends in early January. Based on historically what we've done. So. And of course, we're actually not that far away from like our anniversary and things too. So we'll have a whole bunch that we can talk about with that. I actually don't know that the anniversary dungeon itself is slated to necessarily get a big update this next year. But at the very least, we'll do something, because we always do. Oh yes, thank you for bringing that up. I did, as of late yesterday evening, I'm pretty sure that just about, if not everybody who sent in a survey or otherwise contacted me for Extra Life on the DDO side should have heard back from me at this point. I haven't done the group giveaways because that doesn't happen till the end of November. But for the general, getting you your incentives and things, that, I got my first, I've done the whole list, I've gone through private message, I've gone through email and Twitter and all the other ways people like to reach out. And as far as I'm aware, everyone who sent in something has gotten something from me. So if you happen to hear this and you haven't received your stuff yet, or you haven't heard from me, check your email. Most people gave me an email address to send them their stuff. The second most popular was forum private message, so maybe check your forum private message. And honestly, that's 99% of it. There's a couple people who wanted me to get in touch with them on Twitter, and I did that. Or not Twitter. I have a long ways to go on the Lord of the Rings Online side yet, but on the DDO side I'm getting pretty caught up. It worked really well this year. This is the first year I actually was able to distribute codes, which you'll redeem yourself in the DDO store inside of the game. And the advantage of that is that you can kind of give it to a friend. It makes for easier gifting in some ways. But it also means you can just sort of send it to whatever character on whatever account you want to get the thing and then redeem it there. Many of the things are bound to account. There are just some old crufty items that are still bound to character. And there's a couple of unbound ones already that are in the loot list. But it works out pretty well. It's definitely better than logging into Game Worlds and mailing it. Which I have done in the past. And I got it done before Thanksgiving, which is kind of nice. I say done, but there's always some follow-up afterwards. It's usually, the books aren't usually formally closed and all the Extra Life work until, honestly, like mid-December maybe. And even then, there's a few people who like to donate towards right at the end of the year. They're like, oh, I want to donate. Can I? And, I like to say yes to them. Any news today? I don't know that there's necessarily a lot of new news today. I think the main bit of news is just that we're right on the cusp of... Did I actually hit the lever? Did I actually hit the lever? I don't know if I did or not. I think I did. Guess we'll see. We have the release date coming up very soon for Hardcore 9. Or
A giant spots one of your
whatever it
party
is.
and attacks. A
9,
giant
right?
spots one of your party.
Redux 3. I was hoping to maybe have that for you today, along with some of the details, but I want to put up a announcement post that'll be the start, the favor and reaper thresholds, assuming that's what we end up doing, and then what the level lockout is, along with the start and end date of it. And I want to get all that out. I should maybe even be able to do that by next week. There was still a little bit of discussion happening about, should we really do like +4 or should it be +2? Because it's a shorter season, so, but I think we're going to really just kind of keep it authentic to what the original season, the third season was, and just sort of put, make it be fairly generous. How many days will we be at PAX East? I don't know. I have heard that we do want to do something for PAX East. At the very least, we want to do some kind of player meetup like what we've done just about every year here, minus the COVID years. And so I think we'll at least have a presence there. So that would be some evening, there will be a place you can go and hang out with other DDO peeps, and we'll be there too. And I'll have bags of swag. Swags of bags. And it'll be cool. Well, you say it's best to avoid the giants, but like I said, I haven't really found much success at doing that, as discussed earlier in the stream here. So instead what I've done is just have to kind of fight them down. Whether we end up able to do something like we did this past year with an actual presentation at the PAX Convention Center, I don't know. I would love to be able to do that, and I think there's some thought internally that we'd like to be able to do that again too. But whether, you know, ultimately you submit talks to PAX and such, and they schedule you in and everything. And I can't speak as to what our odds of being at PAX itself are at this time. But I think there's a pretty good chance that we will be trying to submit something at least. And at the very least, we'll do a meetup. I don't really get the Niv and Voodoo rivalry. I'm being asked to pick sides here. I don't quite understand why I keep being asked to pick sides. You're both awesome. I have nothing against either of you. I think we all had great food together at PAX East this past year. I mean, granted, you two were trying to knife each other, but, you know, that has nothing to do with dinner. Food was good. Okay. I will say that Voodoo's given me a free coffee mug, but a certain other streamer has not, so... Can you even call yourself a real streamer if you don't have a coffee mug? I don't know, I don't have a coffee mug. What am I talking about? I actually don't know if it's even wise to make coffee mugs in 2023. Maybe that is a really bad idea, to be honest. I remember when Voodoo sent those mugs into the office, we were all excited about it, but it was all during COVID, and we've all been working from home. So like it's a lot harder these days to distribute like a box of coffee mugs that come into the office or something, because people aren't in the office. And you could sort of have them sitting out in the office for people when they stop by, except they tend to sit around quite a while. So... I do, however, think that we will not be virtually drinking coffee. I think we will still be drinking coffee the analog way. For the foreseeable future. At least through 2024 is my prediction. I guess we'll have to see if we end up having some kind of coffee raise. Maybe they can just zap you. Bang, you've got coffee.
Be brave.
But until then, we're still going to drink our coffee the analog way. Thank you very much. Rude. You know, with as futuristic... Well, I guess we do have caffeine pills. What am I talking about? There's all sorts of caffeine pills out there. We have fully explored the caffeine chemical.
I envy you, soldier. You get to sleep after all.
But I haven't seen Coffee Mist, I don't think. And I don't think I've seen Coffee Light. Like I say, some kind of ray.
Not good.
A giant spots one of your party and attacks.
Alright, well, fine. Here, come over here and attack. You know, if there is a cluster, Cozy Bean, of streamers in particular who are going to be at PAX East this year, and that seems fairly likely, I am down for seeing what we might be able to do in a more official capacity. So that's... I mean, we always think about it to some extent, but maybe there is something we could do there about either having... I don't know, I mean, there's a couple of different options, right? But we could even do almost something kind of like what you see on the movie side for press junkets, where we just have a whole bunch of people go into a room where we got a bunch of devs and stuff, and everyone can take turns recording interviews and things like that. Maybe there's something we could do like that if we think there's going to be a cluster of streamers. If you want to make content with me that's really dumb, I like dumb. You know I like dumb. So, the idea of going mini-golfing with me on stream, we could probably make that happen. We could probably make that happen. It depends on time, depends on what's all going on, I can't promise. But I can promise you I like the idea, so maybe we could do something like that. But that's a very good point. If we've got, let's say, 5 or 6 regular DDO streamers who are all going to be in the Boston area that 4-day period, maybe we should and could take advantage of that fact. Oh, okay. I need to think about this. Yeah. Although I should say what I'm about to say next. I think it's okay. And I'm sorry, Sev, if it's not. So, many of you know that Severlin, his last name is Ciccolini. And his brother was on, I guess, the equivalent of what you could call modern-day broadcast television, that being the free internet TV services, on Amazon Freevee and on Plex. So if you had Plex, like the live TV side of Plex, if you have Amazon Freevee, there is a Dungeons & Dragons Adventures channel. And on that channel was a series, or is a series, called Faster Pussycat, or Faster Dungeon Master kill kills? Faster some... No, Faster Purple Worm kill kill. Sorry about that, Sev. Faster Purple Worm kill kill. And it's a series where, a tabletop stream-style series, where the idea is everyone dies. It's a gauntlet, and everyone dies at the end, kind of thing. And in one of the future episodes of it, I don't know when it's going to air, I don't know which one, I had nothing to do with it, but I've heard about it. One certain Severland is going to be on the TV. And so at some point here in the future, I'll have to get the word out either officially through DDO Unlimited or unofficially just by me going to Discord somewhere and saying stuff. I'll have to get you some info as to when you can see that happen. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. The difference of that kind of channel, though, is it's a terrestrial style, well, not terrestrial, specifically online, but it's kind of a traditional broadcast style network in that you can't watch things afterwards. I think eventually maybe you will be able to, but for now it's appointment television. So when it's on is when it's on, and when it's rebroadcast, it's rebroadcast. But at the moment, you can't really just go and, as far as I'm aware, go to a website somewhere and download it or watch it. But I think it's on Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's either 6 p.m. Eastern or 6 p.m. Pacific. That's what I don't know. But if you got Freevee or Plex, you can call up the TV guide. Is that trademarked? I don't know. Whatever it is. The menu. And figure out when it is. Faster Purple Worm Kill Kill. So the idea of a tabletop session also sounds totally doable, frankly. We could do that. Okay, now, I missed the side room here, and I want to do that because I want to get the card chest. Which I think is in here.
A frenetic air elemental bursts out of the box.
So where is that? So it is on the D&D Advent... How specific? Okay. It is on the D&D Adventures channel of Freevee, Freevee, which is like a kind of a new style over-the-air television stream service. And it is also on Plex, which is another kind of stream service app. Plex is a little wide, is actually quite a bit wider in scope than that, though. And I've been around forever. But the other one's Amazon Freevee. It's Amazon's. From what I understand, it's basically I'm sure that this isn't how they would describe it, but I would describe it as it is Amazon's version of Pluto. If you've ever seen Pluto TV from back in the day, that's still also around, or that kind of thing. So.
You've made it into the Illithid's headquarters, though you did draw the attention of John at the main event. More monsters from further inside the complex.
Nice, Niven. Yeah. Anyway, it's interesting. You know, I'm old enough to have grown up in the era of actual terrestrial broadcast television when it would be like, this is on UHF channel 59 at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, and all that sort of thing. And we're so far removed from that these days. But these are really the services that are have replaced old school rabbit ears on televisions, because it's free, or generally close to it, ad supported, constant broadcast schedule kind of style programming. But it's interesting because of the fact you're not actually sending limited signals over airwaves and things. You could have as many channels as you want, really, and many of them have. They have quite a few sort of specialty channels. Like there's like a Minecraft channel. There are even channels about like specific TV shows at sometimes. Like I've seen times where it's like, this is the Murder, She Wrote channel, and that's sweet, that's cool. But I think that's the idea, is they're just like, this is the thing that's always on, and collectively probably, I don't know how many, probably at least tens of thousands, frankly, of people just all over the world that collectively, you know, are watching these services. Because you don't have to think about what's on, you just sort of put something on as a background. Whatever. Yeah, we live in such a different world when you think about, like, the world in which the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon from the 1980s was conceived, manufactured, created, and distributed, and compare that to how media is done today and everything. It's just like, it's nuts, you know? You know I'm an analog media guy. I love my old weird formats and what have you.
You thwarted the Mind Flayer's scheme to create an army of thralls. With the Illithid gone, the formerly mind-controlled troops will return to their homes in Droam.
It's alright. It's a pretty good ring. I don't think this character is going to be wearing it specifically, but that's alright. It's okay. Let's see where I'm at in terms of my cards here. Which one do I got them in? Is these, isn't it? Yeah. There we are. Okay. 13988. So nope, I'm not gonna be showing you a deck on stream here. But pretty good though. I will take it. That was pretty easy. I will have to definitely get better though. That's been my experience in this dungeon, because I don't have any stealth characters. I play barbarians and clerics. Are you kidding me? I ain't stealthing. I too draw at a first grade level. I can't even do programming right. Well, I don't know that I have a whole lot else to mention here. We got about 10 minutes. Maybe we'll just sort of... What can I wrap it up? I don't want to get started on another dungeon in 10 minutes, although I suppose I could tear through this and see if I can do Pilgrim's Peril normal in 10. I might be able to.
You have arrived at the Silver Flame Temple. You're here to look for your friend Salinas and gain her help in finding the hidden illicit lair. You step through the doors to find a massive chamber before you. Yet the pilgrims are not here. The room is strangely empty, with offerings.
I had a lot of fun doing that raid stream this year. I really did. That was awesome.
Stands off to the side, praying. You glimpse blue and silver as you enter the room.
On Kyber. That was great. That was a really good time. I hope to do that again. Maybe do different raids, or different raid guilds as well. It'd be cool if other raid guilds were like, yeah, let's do a thing on, but it's got to be a stream time, right? So can we do Friday at 4? Can we get a group of people in? If you think we can get a raid going Friday at 4 here, that might be a fun thing to do over, say, the holidays. You know, we got Epic or Legendary Chronoscope coming out. It'd be pretty sweet to be able to run that on the stream. Although I imagine similar, I don't know. My expectation is that similar to regular Chronoscope and Epic Chronoscope, Legendary Chronoscope can also be done with smaller than full groups. But we shall see. We'll see.
The fighting dies down, but then you hear whispers from somewhere inside the room. You take swings at a new sword enemies, only to see their wounds closing up as they return your blows.
Not anymore, it isn't. Anyway, so maybe if you're a guild leader out there and you're like, yeah, we can play Friday 4 to 5 p.m. and do Legendary Chronoscope in December. Maybe if I've got more than one, do different weeks. But that would be really cool. I'd like to get some more rating on the live stream in general and my show in particular, especially with Chrono coming out.
Then you combat surge forward. This time, you notice your attacks aren't doing nearly as much damage as they normally.
Where are you? Oh, there you are. That's true. There's always can High Lords do Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern? That's the thing. It is a little bit of an odd time for typically U.S.-based guilds that are often more. They're still at work Friday at 4 p.m. Right? But not everyone is. So I don't know. Maybe we can make it work.
You hear another voice among the combatants. This one,
I've got a shield guy still somewhere. Are you? There you are. Yoink. Bob talked about this on the... Okay, where's my... Oh, there you are. Okay. Bob talked about this on yesterday's show, that I think it's this next week. Him and I will be working with Knockback and a couple of others to do the VO session for the free dungeon that's being created. And, I have the idea, and I'm gonna make him try it. I have the idea that I think No Bob should be the DM voice for the dungeon. But there's also some folks who kind of want me to give it a shot too, so we're gonna do both and see what turns out. And one or the other of us, or something else, are gonna do the DM voice next week. But because we're making this dungeon live, we are going to record some of that session so that you can kind of see how those VO sessions come together as well. Now, of course, it's a very different thing than what you would do in a professional studio environment, which is typically what we do. But either way, it'll be pretty fun to actually kind of see the recording process happen. I think we're probably just going to record the Zoom meeting and turn it into content for Joy of Devon, which I think sounds pretty cool. I really enjoyed this week going on to Lamania and playing the dungeon with people. I bribed... Well, here's how that actually worked. It was like, I didn't know when I was going to be on. I didn't know when I was going to be able to get on because it was a very busy day on Tuesday. We were doing a lot of things. And so I was like, well,
remember to avoid the area.
Yeah, I mean, you know. Yeah. Also, why? Here we go. Good enough. Should be pretty fun. Should be cool. Oh, so I went into the dungeon on Lamania. And I put up an LFM, because I need to do this quickly. And so I had to grab some video. First day, I need to pull people away from whatever they were doing. Kind of just sort of at a moment's notice. So I put up an LFM on Lamania saying, basically, come join me and I will get you a code for 500 DDO points, which I did. And in service, to that 500, they would have gotten the points code anyway. But in exchange, I basically just was like, well, just go in the dungeon with me, and we'll get a group, and I'll video record it. And I'm not going to include your names, and for the most part, your names, you know, won't be on video. The most is maybe a couple of brief flashes, like in a examination window or something like that. And then I recorded a couple of run-throughs of the dungeon. The first time I did it was my first time really trying to record a live party going through the dungeon like that. And so it was a little trickier than you might imagine to get all the shots and everything working out. But I did. And then I ran a second time and I think got some pretty good video. The other thing that I was able to do for that video capture is make my own character invisible on camera. I used the dev hacks, essentially. I told my own game client not to render my character. You know, render everything, but not my character, using kind of special commands that we can do. And, so that gives you the effect of turning yourself into the camera rather than being in the frame itself all the time. Instead of that kind of back shot that, you know, me in the center of the background, like you see here, you could kind of have a more cinematic sort of view of it all. And it worked out pretty well. you can emulate a very similar experience yourself without having this command by really going into first-person mode. But I think anyone who's spent a lot of time in first-person mode will see there's a little bit of kind of field of view stuff that happens there, right? And when I'm just invisible so that this isn't here, it looks different than if I'm zoomed in like that doing it, so... The idea of a cat narrating the Kitty Dragon dungeon was in fact brought up. But ultimately we went a different route.
Click from the direction of the sanctum.
Well, it is 5 o'clock.
You open the door to the sanctum, steeling yourself to face.
I will do this anyway. I have things I gotta do today. This weekend as well, I should be working on any extra life stuff that comes back, so if you heard me talking that everyone got their stuff, and you're still waiting, I should be able to get that to you through the weekend here. But really we're just hard at work on a busy week. We're going to be getting a release ready before the Thanksgiving break, and that week after doing the work it takes to get it out the door, I think that's basically the plan here. So yes, the Implosion Aura is in fact awesome for these quests. Thankfully we don't have a lot of undead in these quests, so my negative energy typically works okay too, although in some cases better than others. I could mention as a programming note that there won't be a Fridays at 4 next Friday. I'm taking the weekend off for the long holiday weekend.
Selemus falls unconscious, her armored form clanking to the ground.
So I'll see you in 2 weeks after today.
As you would say on this pathetic world, I guess the ruse is up. What
Legendary Chronoscope was on Lamania through 7 p.m. Eastern yesterday, so it's not currently available. But Legendary Chronoscope was up on Lamania this week, so people can take a look and sort of take a look at what is different and what's the same about it. It is largely an updated version of the Chronoscope raid. It's not, you know, it's not like a new raid using the assets of Chronoscope. It is still the Chronoscope, but it's a legendary version of it.
you will make fine additions to our collection.
Where's that life caller first? There you are. There you are. I don't really have big plans for Thanksgiving myself, but it is a big holiday, and it should be a fun time. It's nice. I'll probably get in some gaming. And a lot of food prep and things like that too. Cooking and what have you. I have mentioned this before, and I don't know that I'm actually doing it this year. But in some years past, I deliberately make really simple Thanksgiving meals if I'm not hanging out with a lot of family or friends or what have you, and I'm just by myself. I have some years I've been deliberately pathetic about it, and I've had like, while everyone's tweeting out pics of their turkey dinners and that, I'll be like a microwave burrito and a tab, you know, that kind of thing. So, although I don't think you can get tab anymore, can you? Whatever year I did that, you could though. So I actually don't drink much carbonated soda style beverages. I happen to be drinking one right now. In part because it is something a little bit tab-like. Let me do a little advertisement for Moxie, which is some kind of Dr. Pepper-like drink that I happen to have in the house right now. And I like my regional beverages. If I'm in sort of the southeastern United States and there's Cheerwine around, I'll probably end up getting that. It's not wine. It's basically ginger ale. And it's non-alcoholic. And etc. I love local kind of carbonated soda drinks more than, say, like Diet Coke. Not that I don't like Diet Coke, it's fine, but I'm more likely to drink a tab, probably. Although, isn't it that they don't make that anymore? I think I read they don't make that anymore.
Repair the damage done here, and asks you to inform the Church of the Silver Flame of what has happened.
There is someone in chat who's going to be like, Cheerwine! I can't believe you talked about Cheerwine. Yeah, that's the kind of enlightened entertainment you'll get here on Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DDOstream. Thanks so much for joining me here. Hope you have a great Dungeons & Dragons Online weekend. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And with a whole lot more. Have fun. Bye-bye.